Hello everyone. Welcome to the podcast, where we explore in a completely new way. Let's step into the exciting world of podcasts, where each episode brings knowledge and unforgettable experiences. In life, we sometimes have to face painful truths that we never expect. When I discovered that my wife had cheated on me, a wave of anger surged within me, but what truly thrilled me was the perfect revenge plan I came up with. Could a ruthless message change everything? Join us in this story where betrayal meets revenge, and secrets are revealed. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new updates. Now, let's get started. The elegant restaurant buzzed with life, its upscale ambience marked by soft lighting and the gentle clinking of fine china. Lucas Bennett sat at a table adorned with delicate floral arrangements, his gaze fixed on his wife, Hannah. Across from him, she exuded an air of carefree joy, laughing and whispering sweet nothings to another man, Jason. Lucas, a picture of calm on the surface, felt an undercurrent of turmoil within. He had long suspected Hannah's infidelity, a gut feeling that had transformed into undeniable certainty. Hannah appeared relaxed, her smile radiant as she engaged in conversation with Jason, a man Lucas had seen lurking in the shadows of their marriage. Yet, beneath her composed facade, she wrestled with an unease that threatened to bubble to the surface. The laughter she shared with Jason felt hollow as guilt gnawed at her insides. This moment, meant to be a romantic escape, was tinged with anxiety about what awaited her. As their evening unfolded, Lucas discreetly observed them, noting Hannah's distracted glances and subtle shifts in demeanor. His heart ached, not for the love that had once united them but for the betrayal that now tainted their union. He had spent weeks gathering evidence, meticulously documenting her late nights and suspicious phone calls, all leading to this decisive evening. Lucas's calm exterior masked a storm of emotions, each sip of wine a reminder of the trust that had eroded between them. The anticipation of confrontation hung in the air like the lingering aroma of expensive cuisine. Lucas had confided in Hannah's family, presenting them with the proof he had meticulously compiled. He had watched their expressions shift from disbelief to quiet determination, the weight of the impending reveal pressing heavily upon them. They were complicit in the plan, each member eager to witness the moment of reckoning for Hannah. As the night progressed, a text message vibrated on Hannah's phone, the screen lighting up with a message from Lucas: "Enjoy this evening because it will be over soon." A chill swept through her, panic rising as she processed the implication behind his words. Lucas's knowledge of her affair struck like lightning, and the once joyful atmosphere began to suffocate her. Unbeknownst to her, Lucas's strategy was about to unfold in a way she never anticipated. With each passing moment, the tension grew, and the walls of her secret life began to close in. The luxury surrounding them felt like a gilded cage, and as the evening wore on, Hannah sensed the inevitable confrontation approaching, unaware that her world was on the brink of collapse. Sophia's laughter echoed softly in the restaurant, blending with the ambient sounds of clinking glasses and murmured conversations. As she leaned closer to Jason, the tension in her body betrayed the joy she feigned. The evening's charm began to wane, and a sense of foreboding loomed in the air. Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, the screen lighting up with Lucas's name. A wave of dread washed over her. With shaking hands, she picked it up, her heart racing as she read the message: "Enjoy this evening because it will be over soon." The words cut through the laughter, like a cold breeze extinguishing a warm flame. Panic surged within her. Did Lucas know? The casual, flirtatious atmosphere she had cultivated with Jason cracked under the weight of her husband's implication. Her mind raced as she glanced nervously at Jason, who remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing inside her. The playful banter they had been sharing now felt hollow and fragile, each word resonating with a sense of impending doom. Sophia's composure faltered. She tried to mask her unease with a smile, but the effort felt forced. Her mind spun with thoughts of Lucas, who had always been observant. Memories of his quiet determination flashed through her, moments where he had seen through her facade. The realization that he might have pieced together her betrayal made her stomach churn. Jason looked at her, his brow furrowed in concern. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice laced with genuine worry. She nodded quickly, dismissing the weight of her internal conflict. Yet, the nagging thought of Lucas's message lingered in the back of her mind, an unwelcome reminder that the evening might not end as she had hoped. Desperately, she attempted to shift the focus back to Jason, but her heart wasn't in it. The thrill of their secret rendezvous was being overshadowed by the fear of exposure. Each laugh they shared now felt like a countdown to her downfall. The tension coiled tighter around her, constricting her ability to enjoy the moment. As the minutes ticked by, Sophia felt herself spiraling deeper into despair. The restaurant's ambience, once a sanctuary, had transformed into a stage for her impending unraveling. She could almost hear the clock ticking down, each second echoing louder than the last. The anticipation of the confrontation she feared loomed large, casting a shadow over what should have been a carefree evening. In that moment, the illusion of control shattered, and Sophia faced the haunting reality that her choices were leading her down a path from which there would be no return. The weight of her secrets grew heavier, and she understood that the evening would inevitably culminate in chaos, leaving her to confront the consequences of her actions. Sophia's internal turmoil deepened as she sat across from Jason, her heart racing with conflicting emotions. The text from Lucas echoed in her mind, a grim reminder of the truth she was trying to suppress. She shifted in her seat, struggling to mask the tension that coursed through her. The laughter and conversation felt like a distant memory as her thoughts spiraled further into chaos. With every minute that passed, Sophia became increasingly aware of the cracks in her carefully constructed facade. Her smile faltered as guilt settled heavily on her chest. She glanced at Jason, who was animatedly discussing his latest project, completely unaware of the storm brewing within her. How could she continue pretending everything was fine when her world was teetering on the edge? Meanwhile, Lucas observed from a distance, his calm demeanor belying the storm of emotions churning inside him. He had meticulously noted every detail of Sophia's behavior, her laughter now sounding hollow against the backdrop of his gathering evidence. Each sip of his drink felt like a reminder of the trust that had been shattered, fueling his resolve to confront her when the moment was right. As Sophia struggled to focus on Jason's words, her mind flashed to the conversations she had had with Lucas's family. They had shared their concerns about her behavior, and now, they were waiting for the right moment to intervene. The weight of their judgment hung in the air, adding to the suffocating tension that enveloped her. Suddenly, the door to the restaurant swung open, and the atmosphere shifted. Sophia's heart dropped as she spotted Lucas's family entering, their expressions serious and watchful. The arrival of her in-laws marked the beginning of her unraveling, and the reality of her situation became painfully clear. If you find it interesting, please like it. If not, please comment number 1. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. The mood shifted, the once lively atmosphere felt charged with unspoken tension. Lucas's relatives scanned the room until their eyes fell on her. The silent condemnation was palpable, and Sophia's stomach twisted with anxiety. She attempted to engage Jason in light-hearted banter, but her words came out strained and unconvincing. In that moment, a message popped up on Jason's phone, drawing his attention away from her. He frowned as he read it, a shadow crossing his face. Sophia's heart raced again, sensing the fragility of their connection. Their affair, once thrilling, now felt precarious, teetering on the brink of exposure. Desperation clawed at her as she realized that time was running out. The walls were closing in, and the weight of her choices was becoming unbearable. Sophia forced herself to maintain her composure, but the pressure mounted, and she could feel the ground beneath her shifting. The illusion of control was slipping away, and soon, she would have to face the consequences of her actions, no matter how devastating they might be. The tension in the restaurant reached a boiling point as Sophia's family entered, their presence like a thunderstorm rolling in on a clear day. Lucas's relatives moved through the dining area with purpose, their expressions a mix of concern and judgment. As they approached, Sophia felt her heart race, a cold sweat prickling at her skin. The vibrant chatter of the restaurant faded into a dull roar, and all she could hear was the thundering of her own pulse. Sophia's gaze darted between Jason and her family, the reality of her double life crashing down around her. Her stomach churned as she took in the disappointment etched on their faces. They had come to witness the truth, and she could feel the weight of their scrutiny pressing heavily upon her. It was as if the very air around her had thickened, suffocating her with the knowledge that her secrets were about to unravel. Lucas, standing at a distance, observed the scene unfold with calculated intensity. He had orchestrated this moment with precision, waiting for the perfect time to expose Sophia's betrayal. His heart swelled with a mix of anger and determination as he watched her squirm under the weight of her family's gaze. This was the climax of his plan, the moment he had been building toward, and he felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. The tension shattered like glass when Sophia's mother spoke, her voice steady but filled with disappointment. "We need to talk, Sophia." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. The restaurant's ambience seemed to freeze, patrons pausing to witness the unfolding drama. Sophia felt every eye on her, the scrutiny sharpening as her family's judgment loomed closer. In that moment, Jason's demeanor shifted, unease creeping into his expression. He glanced at Sophia, concern mingling with confusion. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice tinged with apprehension. The question hung between them, a painful reminder of the precariousness of their affair. Sophia could see the cracks forming in their relationship as the reality of her situation dawned on him. As her family closed in, Sophia's world tilted dangerously on its axis. The facade she had maintained for so long began to crumble, and panic flooded her senses. The silence was deafening, filled with unspoken accusations and the weight of her choices. She stood on the precipice of revelation, knowing that her secret life was about to collapse in spectacular fashion. Lucas stepped forward, his voice steady as he addressed Sophia. "This is it. Time to face the truth." The finality in his tone pierced through the chaos, leaving no room for denial. Sophia's heart sank as she realized that the moment of reckoning had arrived, and her carefully curated existence was about to be laid bare for all to see. As the tension in the restaurant began to dissipate, the weight of the confrontation lingered in the air. Sophia stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest as she grappled with the reality of her situation. Lucas's family surrounded her, their disappointed gazes piercing through her facade. It was as if the walls had closed in, and she could feel the crushing pressure of their scrutiny. Jason, still processing the unfolding drama, looked from Sophia to her family, confusion clouding his features. "What's happening?" he asked, his voice wavering. The reality of their affair hung heavily in the air, and Sophia could see the flicker of realization dawning on him. She felt a surge of panic, knowing that the betrayal was no longer hers alone to bear. Suddenly, Jason received a text that changed everything. His expression shifted as he read the message, a frown deepening on his brow. Sophia watched as he grew visibly disturbed, the tension in his body tightening as he glanced back at her. "I need to go," he said abruptly, the finality of his words striking like a blow. In an instant, the connection they had shared began to unravel, leaving Sophia feeling vulnerable and exposed. As Jason left, Sophia was left standing alone amidst her family's judgment. The weight of abandonment settled in, and she felt as if the ground had been pulled out from under her. Her heart raced as the reality of her isolation set in. She looked around at her family, their eyes reflecting a mixture of disappointment and sorrow. The betrayal that had once seemed thrilling now felt like a crushing weight, leaving her gasping for breath. Sophia struggled to find her voice as her mother spoke again, disappointment evident in her tone. "How could you do this to us, Sophia?" The question hung heavily, cutting through her defenses. Sophia felt the sting of shame as she recalled the moments that had led her to this point, the choices that had brought her family to this painful reckoning. Lucas stood back, his expression resolute as he took in the aftermath of his plan. He had wanted this moment, but witnessing Sophia's breakdown felt like a bitter victory. He had gathered the evidence, informed her family, and orchestrated the confrontation, yet now he faced the repercussions of his own heartache. The chaos of emotions swirled around them, intertwining regret and anger as he processed the fallout of her betrayal. As Sophia grappled with the reality of her choices, she realized that her life would never be the same. The threads of her relationships lay frayed and tangled, and the once vibrant tapestry of her life had transformed into a painful reminder of her mistakes. The silence enveloped her, leaving only the sound of her own heartbeat, a stark reminder of the consequences that had unfolded before her. Sophia returned to her apartment, the weight of the evening's revelations heavy on her shoulders. The once comforting space felt foreign, each familiar corner now a stark reminder of her shattered life. As she entered, her breath caught in her throat at the sight before her. Her belongings lay hastily packed in boxes, a clear signal that Lucas had prepared for this moment long before she realized the gravity of her actions. The divorce papers were spread out on the coffee table, the stark white pages glaring at her like an accusation. Lucas's final message resonated in her mind: "You have made your choice." The words cut deep, echoing the truth she could no longer deny. She had chosen betrayal over loyalty, excitement over stability, and now she was facing the inevitable consequences. Tears pricked at her eyes as she surveyed the remnants of her life with Lucas. The photographs that once adorned the walls now felt like ghosts of happier times, memories tainted by her deceit. The laughter they once shared, the plans they had made together, all seemed to mock her now. She sank onto the couch, feeling the weight of her despair settle over her like a heavy blanket. As she held the divorce papers in her trembling hands, Sophia felt a profound sense of loss wash over her. The life she had built with Lucas was collapsing, and in its place, she was left with emptiness and regret. The reality of her choices hung over her like a storm cloud, relentless and unyielding. She had thought she could navigate the duality of her life, but now it was clear that the truth had a way of revealing itself, no matter how hard she tried to conceal it. The silence of the apartment was deafening, amplifying her feelings of isolation. She realized that she had not only lost Lucas but had also betrayed the trust of those who cared about her. The weight of their disappointment lingered in her mind, each memory of her family's concerned faces a stark reminder of what she had sacrificed for fleeting moments of thrill. As the night wore on, Sophia sat in the dim light, her heart heavy with reflection. The choices she made had led her to this moment, and there was no turning back. She understood that she must face the consequences of her actions head-on. While the path ahead seemed daunting and uncertain, she recognized that it was time to confront her reality and begin the painful journey of rebuilding her life. The journey to redemption would be long and arduous, but for the first time, she felt a flicker of resolve igniting within her. As she contemplated her future, Sophia knew that this was not the end, but rather the beginning of a new chapter, one where she would strive to find her way back to herself. Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.